Thank you very much, our viewers, for following us up. Let me read this message before we continue. I am watching your show. It's a great show echoing the challenges and success pathways of Cameroonian youth. It is timely for its charts away development part of Cameroon through reshaping mindsets. Professor Teke's life and professional journey speaks true and volumes to the possibilities and dimension inherent in the African youth. Thank Dr. Busi for hosting the show, and thank you, Professor, for gracefully sharing your experiences. Takwa Abongni from Bunduma. Let me continue again with another message from Takwa Abongni. No, it's still the same messages. It's still the same message, sorry. Professor, looking at what Mr. Takwa Abongni from Bunduma just said, what can you say about Professor? About your reckoning your life pathway?
Well, I give a lot of thanks to that viewer for their kind words. And as I always say, life is not just about talking, it's talking and doing. And there is nothing that is impossible. We have different stars, we have different opportunities, we have our different chances, but there is no single individual who does not have a star, who does not have that chance. The most important thing is to discover within you what is your heart's desire, go for it, strive for it, and you will make it. And when you are not succeeding in that direction, it doesn't mean that other directions have been blocked. Life is all about exploiting the multitudinal potentials that we have. Life is about exploiting the different opportunities that come our way. And when we have such opportunities, we pay attention on them because they may be the lasting one that we would have in our life.
Wow. We are talking of reckoning life pathways, and we have seen that you have transformed a lot of life. You are a great man. You are very reflective. You are deep. And I say that you are very constructive too, Professor. And I want you, Professor, in few minutes, producer, please put the pictures on air. I want you to narrate to us your life journey, and from the pictures, narrate to us your life journey, Professor.
Yes, I was a guest professor at the University of Bayreuth, and we had the golden opportunity to welcome in our midst Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who is one of Africa's greatest writers, and who is a professor of literature and cultural studies in the United States of America. That is me standing there with Ngugi wa Thiong'o and his wife at the University of Bayreuth, where he was offered a honorary PhD. That's the Federal Republic of Germany.
Wow. Next pictures. Next picture, please. Where was that, Professor?
Yes, that was an international conference which I attended. Again, that was at the University of Bayreuth. It was an international conference which required me to give our own cultural perspective to a European phenomenon, particularly
our Afrocentric approaches.
Yes, writing cultures.
Wow.
And we were talking there about Shakespeare, and I was talking about Shakespeare within the African cultural context, and again within the Cameroonian cultural context, because Europeans always think that we just have to take their literature, assimilate it without approaching it from our own cultural valuations, from our own Pan-Africanist perspective. Wow. Yeah, that's a very historic picture. That was the day I defended my PhD.
Wow, very young and handsome.
At the University of Regensburg, still again in Germany.
Wow.
And I had a fleet of friends and schoolmates who were jubilating with me. I didn't have my family there, but I had a family, which, as you see there, that's a family that is unbreakable because we have kept those ties right up to today. And I was receiving a beautiful bouquet of flowers. That one is one of my trips to Italy. I was in Italy for a conference that was sponsored by the European Union, and it had to do with international research and cooperation. And the expectation was to see how I would use that in helping to develop my own country. Well, some of us are always in the skies, and that's one of the pictures I took in one of my traveling out of the country. There again, it's an international conference.
Wow.
I was wearing a badge there. Then I was a staff of the University of Munich.
Wow.
And I was attending that conference in the name of that university.
Wow.
That's one of my lectures at the University of Munich.
Wow.
On the Cameroon and cultural, Cameroon literature and
wow.
cultural studies.
Your students abroad?
Yes, those are some of the students. And the gentleman there is a visiting scholar from Cameroon who was invited to that university, thanks to my connection with the administration of the school.
Who is that professor? Who is that gentleman?
That is Professor Michael Stepat. He is a great scholar in cultural studies.
Wow.
And I had an encounter with him because we are working on a cluster, on the project on interculturality, intercultural communication, and again from a literary perspective. So that's a very great person with whom I had the opportunity, and we,
Next,
if
please.
not for the COVID, we would have been doing so many things now.
Next, please.
Yes,
Is the one?
yes. That again, it's another professor from Canada.
Wow.
Whom I met. We had this meeting to talk about cultural issues, and I was there in the capacity of a lecturer from the University of Yaoundé, where I've been teaching. That was one of our sessions during which I was giving my own take on how we view cultural studies from our own post-colonial environment, post-colonial cultural environment.
Wow.
To see how
Just great.
We could look at culture from the global perspective and not
Just
the global perspective of inequality. Well, that's the young Charlie. I was 1 year old, holding a rose flower. Until today, I'm a lover of nature.
Wow.
I'm an environmental crusader, and that's just part of our cultural reasoning here. There is nothing that we do without culture, without the environment and culture. Yeah, that was my last picture when I was leaving
Primary school?
Primary school. I'm second to the left of my teacher,
young.
whom I respect today. That was our group, one of our group pictures. That was my last day in primary school, and I'll never forget.
Transition from primary to secondary school.
And that picture is in a WhatsApp forum.
Wow.
My ex-pupils of government
primary school. Wow.
Yeah, that's the day I defended my my master's
Okay.
degree. That's the University of Yaoundé 1.
Wow.
That's my my colleague professor on my right. He's now the cultural advisor at the embassy in the United States of America.
Wow, that's great.
Yes,
that's great.
we have had the same trajectory to where we have come today.
Wow.
And it's a very great friend. The other one in the left, a very great friend, is of blessed memory.
May so rest in peace.
But we are still spiritually,
spiritually.
Connecting. That's my uncle, who was proudly standing by me the day I defended an MA.
Wow.
And I was already having ambitions now to move into the doctorate cycle. Well, I was visiting the UK. That's one of the streets in London.
Wow.
You can see I was trying to be African because I was keeping afro. You know, when we come back with this here in country, they will say something is wrong with you. Whereas that is my Africanity.
There is one with the Prime Minister. May I put it, please? Oh, wow.
All right. One of my students defended his PhD in January this year.
That's great achievement.
And that's the post-defense picture that we took.
With Professor Lalo.
Yes, Joseph Lalo.
Professor Lalo was my master supervisor.
Oh, that's beautiful. He co-supervised that thesis with
a great mind too.
Yes, with me. Well, that's just me posing there in a colonial administrative way, in a let me say colonial administrative style. But again, we're in a global world, so wearing suits is not really part of my business. But time and again, we need to put on those things because we can't cut off from other cultures. That's me in my office at UB. Yes, that's me there in the University of Yaoundé 1. Again, I was just about attending the defense of a PhD of one of my supervisees. I think that was in 2019. Okay,
thank you very much, producer. Professor, you have a message here, and may you answer this to our viewer. Professor, what advice can you give to a Cameroon youth who feels alienated from the development and growth process of Cameroon?
Yes, I think that's a very genuine question, and let us be very objective that many youths of this country feel that they are not included in the nation-building machinery. It's a feeling because we are in a context where we always tend to look at the government. We always think that to achieve, you must have written the entrance exams into the competitive entrance exams into ENAM or into the Faculty of Health Science or into ENS, and once you fail it, it's like you have failed in life. To me, that is not all about professionalism in this country. It's true that we have thousands of youths out there who don't even know how to go about earning a living. It's just a question of reorientating our minds because all the youths I've come across have immense potentials. And it's a question of asking yourself, what can I do? My journey started from the day I was born. It has not ended. And so we should look at life as a journey, and a journey which at times is moving slowly or it's moving a bit fast, but avoid the fast lane life, as I've always said. Don't get so downtrodden, don't get so traumatized, alienation it's to me, it's a state of mind where you just get out of that crowd and you think that there is nobody that has your time, nobody cares for you, and you are there and you are living a world.
Are they kind of mental blocks?
Of course. Once you are alienated, it means you are on the negative side of life. You're on the negative side of life. And normally we are in a country that needs a lot. We have a Ministry of Youth, we have the Ministry of Education. We need a lot of psychological counseling to our youth. We need to develop on that because our youths just need counseling and the right direction. At times you find youngsters frustrated, not because they are bad. You find them getting into all kinds of unorthodox things, not because they are bad. It's just because they are left on their own, and whatever opportunity they get without any counseling, in most cases, they get on the wrong path of life.
Professor, as a big professor at your caliber, Professor, looking at the context of Buea, there are a lot of youth into cyber criminality. What advice can you give to them? What hope is there in their life?
Well, from my experience, many of them end where they started. What do I mean? They started with nothing, and they end, in most cases, with nothing, or some find themselves in jail. Some even are killed under mysterious circumstances. Under no circumstances would I encourage any young man to indulge in that kind of life. Cyber criminality, scamming, and all whatnot. They don't take you to anywhere. They would not. You buy the cars. You will flash money here and there. You buy houses. But there is some mystery that you will not succeed in your life. You end up selling those things, and you end up at times being a pauper. So it's always good to earn money from your sweat, to earn money that you look and you are proud that this is what my achievement has given me. I would advise youngsters out there, I would not condemn any person who has gotten themselves into any unorthodox or any negative thing. I would simply advise, get away from there, reorientate your mind, indulge yourself into something that is worthwhile, something that is lasting, and you realize that you have a more fulfilling life than what you're experiencing.
Yes, Professor, reckoning life pathways. Looking at your pathways, you have a lot of positive pathways. And Professor, from that perspective, Professor, what advice again can you give to our youth who have forethought, who are visualizing their future, who have dreamful ambitions? What advice can you give to our youth out there so that you can help them make their dreams a reality? Because people have dreams, but at the end of the day, they do not fulfill their dreams. We want a situation whereby Cameroonian youths could fulfill their dreams. You started at the primary school level, where your ear was not the best. You struggled, you navigated, and you reached there. What was your secret? That you can help make our youths realize their dream and be fulfilled.
You know, the secret to life and achievement is vision and purpose. And don't capitalize on one thing in life. I will tell young people out there that I am not in the classroom today by accident. It was an ambition. I'm not in the classroom today because I took after my parents, because both of my parents are teachers. No, it was my innate ambition. Because teaching is not just about classroom. Teaching, I tell students today that I'm an intellectual entrepreneur because I make money out of my intellectual capacities, not just the salary that I earn. I go to conferences now, I'm invited all over the place, and I make money out of that. That's my own path in life. I tell students that when we talk about our lives, it is not to boost our ego, it's not to boost our image. On the contrary, you don't want to be like me. I'm not asking any person out there. I am Teke Charles. There will never be two Teke Charles. I am me.
So you are saying that people should be unique.
Don't strive to be me.
Wow.
Strive to look at me as that human model who is not perfect, who is not a kind of
we're struggling to be
spiritual or godlike kind of person. Yes. Try to look at me. Try to tap from my own experiences to build your own life. We usually talk to young people and they say, oh no, he wants to prove to us that he has arrived, who will not arrive. That is totally not the right mindset that we want from young people. We are not saying that you should be a university professor. I am not saying that you must have a PhD. I have many students who are into acting today, who are musicians. Students who even left the Department of English who are bankers. Just by virtue of the fact that they know what they want in life and they strive to attain it. So coming here and talking about life pathways, it's not that everybody must have my same trajectory of life or that you must have the same trajectory of life of some other person. A role model does not mean that everybody has to copy you. No, you must make your own identity.
Wow.
You must be proud of your own opinion. You must not be overshadowed or eclipsed by some other person's personality.
Wow. You are a square peg in a square hole, Professor.
Just be who you are and learn from others. I have cited the names of professors who helped to build me to be the person I am. It is not something.
So are you saying that mentor-mentee relationship is very good?
No, it is primordial. It is primordial. It is, in fact, it's a whole field of studies, mentor-mentee relationship, and it is endless. I still have mentors today as I speak. I've called a good number of names here, both in the academia, in the social world, in the economic world, in the political world.
Wow.
I have mentors. They are people you always look up to. I always tell youngsters, one of the greatest pieces of literature I have read is the Desiderata.
Wow.
There are always people who will be above you. There are always people who will be below you. Respect and revere those who are above you. Be humble and respectful to those who are below you. You will always live a wholesome life.
What makes Professor Teke a unique personality?
Well, I don't know how I should talk about my uniqueness, but one thing I know about myself is I can be very, very convinced with my own
Convictions?
With my own thinking.
Intellect, yes.
Not without giving allowance for oppositional thinking, because the greatest quality for somebody like me is relative detachment. And what do I mean by relative detachment? That I have my convictions, but I understand that my convictions can have an antithesis, and I understand that others too have convictions. Even if I don't buy them, the logicality of their convictions makes sense. So my uniqueness is just in the person I am. I am not an angel. I don't strive to be one. I'm just a simple human being who accepts his faults, who accepts his shortcomings.
Your strength and your weaknesses.
Yes, I have done things that would not have been the best. I have hurt people here and there. That has never been at the bottom of my heart. I always strive to be a nice person. My uniqueness is my humility, is my openness, is my altruism and generosity, even in circumstances that I don't have.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you very much, Professor. Professor, let's look at things from this perspective, Professor. You know that a man of your caliber, you have achieved genuine, what Professor Bernard Folon says, genuine intellectual. You work hard to become who you are, and you're honest. And Professor, you know that life trajectory, when we look at your life pathway, we say that it's stormy, it's not easy. There are rainy days, there are sunny days. And there are days that you have go by without even eating, Professor. There are turbulent moments. And I want to, may you, Professor, explain to us some of the sad and painful experiences you had in life, and how did you overcome such turbulent experiences?
Yes, you know, a life without turbulence is a questionable life. A life without trials and temptation is not a fulfilling one. When you have not gotten some of the shocks, some of the unexpected realities of life, then you would not have been molded as somebody with the fortitude and strength to overcome things. I lost my father, I was very young, and I thought that life had come to an end. And I think he's proud in his grave today.
Exactly.
I thought that everything was over. But again, I saw how a mother could stand that gap and all the difficulties. Remember, there was a time in this country salaries where civil servants did not receive a single dime. And I would sit and look at this woman, and I don't even understand the circumstances under which we survived. I remember there were days we would barely even have something to eat. I remember, and I say it boldly even to my students, that I have sold groundnuts, I have sold bananas.
You have done hawking.
Of course.
You're an African child.
And I didn't do that because of poverty. There is something we call the riches of poverty. Maximizing from the minimal that you have.
Wow.
Making the best out of
The
almost nothing you have and feeling happy about it. I remember very difficult moments in my university days where I could not have a daily bread. And that was when I even started my teaching career, organizing extra classes for students, receiving 50 francs here, 100 francs there, just to have a living. And those are very beautiful moments as well, however difficult they were. I had a very heartbreaking experience when I lost my my professor, my supervisor, late Professor John Lambo, may his soul rest in peace. It was quite a difficult moment because when he passed on, I was out of this country, and my intention, as I told you initially, was to do my thesis, my PhD thesis in an exchange program and come back to defend here.
Wow.
But again, due to his passing on, I had to lay my situation to the university of authorities, and then I was formally admitted as a student in that university. And,
just great.
Yes, and
just
I moved on. And again, you know, I should be honest in saying that in life you face a lot of challenges, either for one reason or the other. I know that being a youth and moving through the higher education system is not always very easy. You have people who would want to stand on your way, but I have had that chance that that has been minimal, because I have come across very inspiring professors.
Wow.
People whom you will not judge in terms of their age, but in terms of their dynamism, in terms of their openness, in terms of their seeing others grow, because they are there to keep a legacy, and a legacy which we are going to continue with.
Thank you very much, Professor. There's one word I've heard from you: legacy. And we should endeavor in life to keep legacies, because people like Nelson Mandela, they fought, they kept that imprint, and Professor is still keeping that imprint. Professor, there's a psychologist, humanistic psychologist called Abraham Maslow. And Maslow, looking at his pyramid, at the base of his pyramid, it calls this the physiological needs, and many people find themselves there. And going up the pyramid it narrows, and we have the highest side of it, the esteem needs and self-actualization. I want to ask you, Professor, have you actualized?
Well, I consider my life and everything I'm doing in the context of becoming. And what do I mean? That I am still to attain. There is no doubt that I sit at times and I say I'm comfortable. I can put food on my table, as well as I can help others eat. I can cater for my needs, as well as I can cater for the needs of the needy. I think that gives me a certain sense of achievement and a certain sense of happiness. But the moment I start thinking that I have made it, I realize just how empty I am. And I realize that there is just so much to be done. I still have a very long way to go in my career and in my life, if God gives me that life. And so I think there is still much to be done. I would say where I am is just a milestone, and I have the ambition to keep going and to be unstoppable.
Wow, Professor Teke. Let's read this other message here. Professor, in your opinion, what do you think is the greatest challenge of the African youth in the 21st century? How can these challenges be addressed? And Professor, looking at your life pathway from birth to where you are now, Professor, to adulthood, looking at this question, link it from your life experiences, Professor.
Yes, you know, the African youth, it's one of the most potential youth in the world. The processes of colonialism, neo-colonialism, might have severed the vision that the youth would have had. And then there are equally economic and political circumstances that are asphyxiating the African youth today, particularly the youth of this very prestigious country called Cameroon. That notwithstanding, you see the African governments, particularly through different youth networks, and again, particularly with the efforts of the African Union in promoting Pan-Africanism, in making sure that our African youth tend to begin to look at life from an African perspective and not look at life from a colonial perspective where it is the diaspora that matters in everything. It is to go abroad no matter what circumstances and forget that those potentials, we have them here. I would just say that the future of the African youth is bright, because I personally think that the future of the planet Earth is the continent Africa, and that the strides are being made, however imperceptible, that the African youth should succeed. And we are all there to pay our homage to those who started.
Wow.
And to continue to contribute
Thank you,
to those.
My great professor. I admire you a lot. You have shared a lot to change the life of many youths there. There is this message. Wow, Dr. Busi. What a great show. What a great show. Wow, Dr. Busi, what a great show. I was a physics student in the University of Buea. Please, I was a physics student in the University of Buea. Please, I wish to ask Prof, why did he come back to Cameroon after he studied abroad? Because if I'm the one, I might not. Please, sir, let it come from your heart. Leslie from Limbe.
Yes, Leslie, that's a very beautiful question. And if all of us choose to be out there, then what would be our own university system here? You know, life out there, many people think that once you've gone out there, it is every other thing. And that's why we always talk about the West and the rest. Those of us who constitute the rest always want to look at the West. I am very happy to be back because nothing stops me from traveling. Apart from the global health crisis we are having, I travel when I choose to and when I have reason to travel. I don't have problems with visa. I don't have problems with passport. I came back because of the love of my country. If not, when I came back to this country, I had a teaching position out there. But again, those are contracts that you have, and when they finish, you start looking for jobs elsewhere. I have a job that I cherish so much in my country because that job is not only about me, Teke, it's about the multitude of youths in this country. I'm giving my own insignificant contribution in building. And I will advise many youths. It's not only when you leave your country that you know the importance of your country. And when you have achieved something out there, think about your country. That was just my simple reason to come back. To bring my children, to tell them you have to have an education in this country. You have to be immersed in your own Cameroon subset of culture, so that by the time you're going back there, you are sure of your own roots and your own identity, and you are not that kind of
thank you, Professor.
Person who is floating in the air.
We're running out of time. Professor, what are your hobbies?
Oh, I play volleyball. I like swimming. I do sports. I used to do acrobatics, gymnastics, which I still do. I'm a very flexible person. Wow. And I love dancing so much.
Okay, thank you, Professor, for coming. Professor, your last word. Look directly into the camera and advise the youth of Cameroon that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes, dear young Cameroonians, I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of you because I'm one of you. And no matter what adversity or difficulty you're having today, no matter what trials or temptations or tribulations, just stay focused, be ambitious, let your ambitions be ordinate, and trust me, you have a lot to give to this country, because it is what you would have given to the country that other youth tomorrow will benefit from. I wish you all the best, and know that you are great, you are loved, and that the future of this country is in your hands.
I can't end this program without reading the last message of honor to Professor Teke. Thank you, Professor. Your presentation is touching and very inspiring. I see a lot of humility as you talk. Please, can you advise the youth on the role of honor in the success of the youth? Thank you very, very much, Professor, for your presentation from Bunduma.
Thanks so much. Once more, youth, be patient, be humble, learn from every source that you can learn positively. There is nothing that is above you. You can make it. Stay focused, stay ambitious, and you would not regret anything that you would have done genuinely in your life.
Thank you, Professor Teke, for coming, Vice Dean for Programs and Academic Affairs in the Faculty of Arts in the University of Buea. You have inspired a lot of Cameroonians, and this is what the university say outreach. And I pray that many university dons should be like you. They should copy your example to change and shape the lives of many in Cameroon. I will end by saying that Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty. She grew up in a house, in a neighborhood that never had electricity, that never had running water. But Oprah Winfrey became one of the greatest women. I want to advise all Cameroonians youth to know that their early life experiences have a later effect in their adulthood life. And we can see that with Professor Teke, who have reckoned his life pathway, a very positive trajectory that came about as a result of hard work. There is hope. Let us all have hope, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. The fact that your father is a farmer, the fact that your mother is a farmer, the fact that your father is a palm wine tapper, you can become a great leader, be a model, and also try to model others. Be a mentor of yourself and try to have mentors. Mentor-mentee relationship will take you to places. I plead on our youth to not to engage in deviant behavior, because deviant behavior will take you nowhere. Follow us on Saturday at 4 p.m. We are sorry that the program of today was to take place yesterday. Because of light seizure in Buea, the program took place today. Thank you very much for coming with this great analysis, Professor. It was nice having you, Professor.
It's a pleasure, and I hope that at least one person is impacted by this encounter.
See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank